Hello everyone, I'm going to talk about tenses, especially about the past. There are a number of tenses talking about the past. In this video, I'm going to focus on the forms and usage of past simple, present perfect, and past perfect tenses, as well as their differences when we use them to talk about the past. Let's start with simple past tense. When it is a statement, we normally just add ed after the verb. But remember, there are also some irregular verbs. For example, I watched the movie last night. We just add ed after watch. But in the next example, she found the book yesterday. We have changed word find to found. That's why you have to revise the irregular verb table very carefully. When it comes to simple past questions, which many of you get confused with, remember we start the question with the word did. Then we write the subject and then the VI. So what is VI? VI refers to verb infinitive, which means the verb remains unchanged. Examples: did they win the last competition? We start with did to show that the question is in past, simple past, and then the subject they. After that, the verb infinitive win to show the action. Remember, we must not add any ed after the verb infinitive. Another example: did you see Mr. Chan 2 days ago? As for negative statement, which means adding not to the statement, it is similar to the question form. We have to start the verb with did not and then a verb infinitive. Example: we did not walk to the MTR station today. Please note that we don't add any ed after did not. Another example: it did not eat any fish this morning. We can see the action eat remains unchanged after did not. However, when the verb is a verb to be, we do not add did or did not before the verb to be, like what the previous slides mentioned. Instead, we just simply change be to was or was not when the subject is I, he, she, or it, and change be to were or were not when the subject is you, we, they. Don't mix up verb to be with other verbs. Remember, after verb to be, there can only be nouns and adjectives. Examples: he was the captain in the game last night. After the verb to be was is the noun the captain. And you were not happy yesterday. After verb to be were not is an adjective happy. The same rule also applies to questions. Unlike other simple past verbs, we just put verb to be was or were before the subject. Never add did before the subject and write verb infinitive be after the subject. It is in fact overgeneralizing the grammar rule. Let's look at the examples. Was it the book you read last week? The book is the noun. And were they excited when they heard the news? Excited is an adjective. We only write the verb to be before the subject. So when do we use simple past tense? We use simple past tense to talk about events happened at a specific time in the past. And when we write a story or report, since the events have happened, we normally use simple past tense for these text types. Let's move on to present perfect tense. The verb involves two parts: have or has, depending on the subject, and plus PP. So what is PP? When we look at the verb table, PP is past participle. For example, do, did, done. Done is PP, the past participle of do. Please note that some PP is the same as the simple past verbs. Examples: they have found the lost boy. She has watched the movie already. So both found and watched are the simple past verbs as well as the PP form. When it is a question, it is actually simpler than simple past tense. We just need to start the question with the first part of the verb, have or has, and then the subject. After that, we write the second part of the verb, PP. Examples: have we got into the final round? Has it finished the medicine yet? Similar to questions, when it is a negative statement, we just add not in between the present perfect verb, such that have or has not plus PP. Examples: you have not told me the truth yet. He has not recovered from the injury yet. The same rules also apply to verb to be. Since the PP form of be is been, we have or has been, or have or has not been as the present perfect verb to be. Examples: we have been to this campsite before. He has not been home for 2 days. As for verb to be questions, have or has, it starts with have or has, depending on the subject, and then the subject, and then been, the PP form of be. Let me remind you once more that after verb to be must be a noun or an adjective. Examples: have you ever been a teacher before? A teacher is a noun. And has she been excited since her party began? Excited is an adjective. It is in fact we use present perfect tense to talk about the past in many situations. Like the first one, we use present perfect tense to talk about a past event without mentioning any specific past time. We just know that action happened in the past, but we don't know the exact time of when it happened in the past. We also use present perfect tense to discuss whether an event has happened or not. We normally see the words yet or already, and we often see for and since when we use present perfect tense to talk about an event that began in the past and continued up to the present now. Please note that after for, it should be the length of time, like for 3 years. And after since, it should be the starting time of the past event. For example, since last week. The reason why I mention it is that there can be other words written after for and since for other purposes. You cannot directly use present perfect tense without a second thought when you see these two words. Therefore, if you are thinking whether present perfect tense should be used when you see the words for and since, make sure that after for and since are the length of time or the starting time of the action. Lastly, we use present perfect tense to talk about a very recent event, and the word just is a very common word to be seen in this situation. When both simple past and present perfect can be used to talk about the past, so which tense should we use? Let's look at the differences. The major difference is that we use simple past tense when there is a specific time reference, as we know exactly when the past action happened. Therefore, we can see the past time references such as yesterday, the word last, for example, last Monday, last month, last week, and the word ago, like 2 years ago, a month ago, etc. whereas there is no past time reference for present perfect tense, as we only know it happened in the past, but we don't know exactly when it happened. Of course, there are other functions for present perfect tense, so I'm not going to repeat them again here. I hope my explanation helps you differentiate simple past and present perfect tenses by now. So now let's move on to the last tense in this video, past perfect tense. As mentioned earlier, present perfect verb is have or has plus pp. So past perfect verb is had plus pp, and it is for all subjects. Examples: he had finished his work before he left. We passed after we had done a lot of revision. Like present perfect tense, the same structures apply to questions and negative statements. As well as verb to be when it is in past perfect tense. So I'm not going into detail here again. So when do we use past perfect tense? We use past perfect tense when one past event was completed before another past event. In other words, there are two past actions, and we only use past perfect tense for the first completed past action. We also use past perfect tense in reported speech to report simple past or present perfect tense verbs, which I think you should have learned it by now. Finally, here comes the last part of the video. When do we use simple past and when do we use past perfect tense? It's actually very simple. We use simple past tense when you know the specific time in the past. There can be a lot of past events, but it can also be only one past event. However, as for past perfect tense, since it is to emphasize that one past event was completed before another past event, there must be more than one past action. There must be more than one past action. Hence, you can often see before, after, or then to show the order of the past events. And we use past perfect tense for the earlier event. I hope this helps you find the difference between simple past and past perfect tense. And that's all I have to say in this video. Hope you find it useful. Bye.